Hello, conference. Now, if you ask any of our MPs what the best part of their job is, they'll probably tell you that it's going into schools, because kids ask the best questions. Do you live in a mansion? No. What's your favourite Taylor Swift song? Shake It Off, obviously. What's the worst kind of potato? Apparently it's mash. Are you the king of Tunbridge Wells? Don't encourage him. And wait for it, a question to one of our women MPs. But what exactly do the men do? Conference, these are all real questions put to our MPs by some of our youngest constituents. And as charming as they are, the number one issue that children raise with me is the climate crisis. Even some very small children know that the Earth is warming, sea levels are rising, and that some animals are on the brink of extinction. They'll often ask if there's anything more that we can do to stop the worst from happening. And so I tell them a story. I say, when I was your age, there was a thing called acid rain, and it was really, really scary. There was so much pollution in the air that when it rained, for many forests and lakes, every living thing was killed. But clever scientists and environmental campaigners got together, and they persuaded elected politicians all over the world that they had to act. And they did. And then I tell them that the same is possible again now. Conference, this isn't just a moral mission. This isn't just an environmental mission. Conference, this is an economic mission. The UK's net zero economy is an economic powerhouse. The sector is growing 3 times faster than the overall UK economy, and net zero jobs have higher than average wages too. Investing in climate action will help build our energy independence in an increasingly uncertain world. And crucially, for struggling households, the growth of this sector will bring energy bills down and help with the cost of living. Conference. For all these reasons, building a new climate economy should be an absolute no-brainer. But as we all know, there are those who want to sow scepticism, delay action, and then scrap the very schemes that give us energy security. The Conservatives really set us back on climate action. Not my words, the words of the Climate Change Committee boss. The Conservatives ripped up the requirement for new homes to be net zero. They scrapped solar panel subsidies, they gutted the Green Deal, and they kiboshed the Green Investment Bank, 2 flagship Liberal Democrat achievements in government which would have literally insulated thousands upon thousands of people from the worst of the cost of living crisis. The Conservatives' decision to cut the green crap has condemned millions of people in our country to living in freezing cold homes with sky-high bills. And even though the Conservatives stand guilty of leaving us exposed to energy shocks from Putin's illegal war, they are shamelessly locked in a race to the bottom with Reform UK. Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch wants to go all in on oil and gas production, whilst Nigel Farage, who has received millions of pounds in funding from people connected to big oil and gas, has pledged to abolish spending on net zero altogether. They are sidling up to the very oil and gas companies which are raking in billions of pounds whilst people freeze. And it is time that we called them out. Make no mistake, conference, the approach of these turquoise Tories will destroy our environment, destroy this booming sector of our economy, and it will destroy our energy independence. The only person who will be left smiling will be Vladimir Putin as he pets Nigel Farage on the head and tells him, "Good job." And what of Labour? Well, they're just too preoccupied with their infighting, aren't they, to deliver the change that people really need to see. Compare that to what our amazing MPs have achieved in this Parliament. Ros Savage, where's Ros? There she is. Ros Savage, the amazing Ros Savage, championed the Climate and Nature Bill, going toe-to-toe with the government, forcing them to commit to restoring nature and to report back to us as MPs every single year. Max Wilkinson's Sunshine Bill has now become law, meaning that all new builds will have solar panels as standard from 2027. And our own party leader, Ed Davey, has set out a bold plan to halve energy bills in the next decade with the delinking of energy and gas prices. So we have shown, conference, time and time again, that we are the ones who can design policies that both work for the climate and which tackle the cost of living. And so it falls to us, again, to keep showing the way. Now, conference, you might know that there are lots of energy-saving schemes that exist already, but uptake has been very slow. Costs remain stubbornly high, and without further action, net zero targets will not be met. But that's partly because there's a gap that needs filling. At the one end, there are government schemes to create warm homes for council tenants and homeowners on low incomes. At the other, there's GB Energy, designed to build big infrastructure projects like floating wind farms. But in the missing middle, we have homeowners, community energy groups, SMEs, and they're so frustrated because they want to do the right thing, but they can't afford to. They want to invest in energy-saving measures, solar panels, heat pumps, home insulation, but they just can't afford the upfront costs of commercial loan rates. So even though they know that they'll be doing their bit and that they'll make savings on their energy bills in the long run, they can't take that action. So conference, if we are really going to decarbonise homes in this country, we need to enable homeowners to take the urgent action that they want to take for their families' energy security and for their children's energy security too. Today, conference, we start to fix that. Today, I am calling for the creation of a new energy security bank, a bank that could unleash up to £10 billion of affordable loans to homeowners to invest in their energy security and to bring energy bills down permanently. Conference with loans of up to £20,000 for households and up to £50,000 for community energy groups and SMEs. Households and small businesses would finally see change in their homes, in their high streets, and in their bank balances. But conference, we want to go one step further still. We also want people to see real change all around their towns. And that is why our energy security bank would not just help households and small businesses. Our energy security bank would have a dedicated lending scheme to accelerate the rollout of solar panels in large supermarket car parks right up and down the country. Just doing this in supermarkets alone could produce enough energy to power a city the size of Bristol or Nottingham every single year, making a huge impact on the UK's path to net zero and delivering change in every community, change that people really can see. In the long term, all of these loans should pay for themselves. But for banks to offer a lower interest rate, the government would need to guarantee them by putting about £2 billion aside. So conference, where is that money going to come from? Dramatic pause. Well, you don't need me to tell you that spare cash is in short supply and the public finances are up the spout. The last Conservative government blew a hole in the public finances, and Labour's growth-crushing jobs tax and its failure to get a better deal with Europe has ground our economy to a halt. As a responsible opposition, committed to fair taxes, we Liberal Democrats simply do not believe that it is fair to ask struggling households or small businesses to pay more tax before looking at those corporations making billions of pounds in profits, especially those which do so unexpectedly through no effort of their own. Now, conference, you will remember that we were the first party to call for a windfall tax on the big oil and gas companies. When they made profits they weren't expecting due to Putin's illegal full invasion of Ukraine. Well, now, conference, the big banks are making similar windfall profits too. Due to an unintended consequence of the quantitative easing programme launched more than a decade ago, we taxpayers are now shelling out billions of pounds to the shareholders of the big banks, simply because interest rates have remained so high for so long. Banks never expected to receive this windfall. They never relied on this windfall, and they never took on any risk to reap this windfall. So today, conference, I can announce that we Liberal Democrats will raise the capital to underwrite our new energy security bank through a new time-limited windfall tax on the big banks. Conference, we would ask them to pay back just a small portion of the eye-watering profits that they have made since interest rates went sky high. Research by the IPPR think tank suggests that such a new windfall tax could raise on average about £7 billion a year over this Parliament. We would put an initial £2 billion of that to one side as a one-off to underwrite those loans. The rest could then be poured back into our public services, and we can finally start to end this cycle of people paying more for less. Conference, by taxing just the windfall interest payments that the big banks receive at the taxpayers' expense, we can fund our public services in a fair way, whilst fully respecting the Bank of England's independence and safeguarding our country's economic prosperity. On the one hand, we will tax the banks on a glitch in the system, but on the other, we will work with the banks as trusted partners to expand affordable lending. By working together, we can help people take control of their energy security and bring down energy bills permanently. And with this new idea, conference, it is just as vital that the government doesn't jettison the existing tax incentives that are working well. For the last 3 years, there has been a VAT exemption on all energy-saving materials, but it's about to run out. And that's why, to make our energy security bank low-interest loans go as far as possible, I am calling on the Chancellor today to use the autumn budget to extend the zero-rated VAT exemption on all energy-saving materials for a further 3 years. Conference, we must build an economy that protects our energy security, our food security, and our national security. Our plan for an energy security bank is an important step in that direction. To grow our economy, to tackle the cost of living and the cost of doing business, we must aggressively drive down core costs and empower those people who want to do the right thing. Our plan for an energy security bank will deliver investment in the real economy, investment that will generate growth, create jobs, and provide countless households and small businesses with the energy security that they crave. Conference, we must call out Nigel Farage, who falsely claims that renewables drive up prices when it's renewables that brings them down. We must call out those who peddle climate myths and would have us left at the mercy of global gas markets. We must reject the climate cost doomsters in the Conservatives and Reform UK. We must embrace our responsibility to push back against this rising tide of populism, and we must show that when done well, taking climate action and tackling the cost of living can and must go hand in hand. Conference. Steady. We must do it for our energy security. We must do it to grow our economy. And we must do it for those children. Thank you.